Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Monday. How's it going? How's everybody? Where are you joining from? What's going on in your world? Hey, Nicole. How are you? Happy Monday. How have you been? I'm just getting things started here. How's everybody doing with the what's that? Daylight savings? What's going on in the world? Hi, Lola. How are you doing? Today was a day. Oh, jeez. Hi, Gypsy. How are you? Oh my goodness. Hey, Soaring Eagle. How are you? You still preparing for your ceremony? Well, hopefully this will be a good ending to your day. The energies right now are pretty intense on our planet as we're just shifting. Yeah, the time change is, it's draining. It's exhausting. A lot of crazy things are going on. I know the energy right now is crazy. We just changed into this new year and everything is crazy. But yeah, it makes sense, huh? Because we just shifted into this arrow year and we have to point our arrows in the right direction. And remember how I was talking about last time about clearing all the distractions? And that's what's going on, is everything's clearing so we can get clear on our path. And today we're going to talk about clearing the mind, because it's time to be clear. On the first day of the new year, I had a client book same day. Oh, good. That's good. That's good. It's time to get that arrow in alignment. Yeah, it's going to be a busy year for people who do healing work. Or any work, really, anything to do with people and service. It's that time where people are going to be looking for clarity and direction more than ever, because as we can see what's already happening in our financial systems, that's only going to continue. I had some things happen to my grandchildren, the mothers on TikTok. Oh, I hope everything's okay. My arrow feels like it got bent into a dream catcher. Oh, that's pretty good. It'll keep all the negative energy away. You're going back to nights at work. Oh, you're going to be busy, huh? I bet the nighttime for your job gets really busy. So what else is going on? How are we doing? Things are crazy. Are we still meditating? We have to remember to keep our meditations going. And I thought we would do a 1-minute meditation here in a minute. Days are not good. Well, I think more people eat at the nighttime, right? But I don't know in the hotels. So, but maybe in the summertime, more people will be going out and doing stuff. More tourists will come in. So, what else is going on? How are things where you are? How's the weather? Are we feeling the springtime coming? I know the dream time is pretty wild right now too for some people. I feel like everybody's tired. I'm gonna wake you up. Just kidding. Oh, I'm gonna bring in some. Well, everything is kind of shifting right now because we're about to head into equinox. So we just had our Toltec New Year. We got a new energy. And then we've got, spring around the corner. So we're almost out of this winter lull. Hello, my sleepyhead oak trees are just waking up. Oh, good. You just got 10 inches of snow? Oh my goodness, Amanda. Wow, no wonder that's kind of big. That's a lot of snow. I don't know if I can do any more snow. I'm kind of snowed out this winter. The shifting and the lights make it look like your posters are blinking. They're blinking. I was getting ready and I noticed, I was like, something's different in the room. Why does it look different? And it was because I didn't have the lights on. I know. This time of year is difficult because we're right in the, I know you're over the snow too. We're right in that space where it's not quite spring. We're kind of tired of this long winter and we're ready for the buds of spring. But we just have to be patient. So it's a good time to do meditation and visualization and thinking about now, what exactly do you want to create once we are in the springtime? And this springtime is going to be really powerful because this winter was a difficult one. This winter, a lot of people, especially now, people are coming out and I'm seeing a lot more clients in person, and everybody had a difficult winter. A lot of people this winter has just been challenging. You need a lot of prayer. Yeah, I'll give you some prayers. It's just that persistence and that strength, and it's almost that time where you feel like, can I do any more? What can I do? And it's that time you just let go because you've done everything you can, and now it's just the timing that has to play out. So I think we'll start. We're going to talk about meditation and clearing the mind and how we can stay focused during these times of great transition and change, and focusing now on what it is we want to connect to and ask the spirit world to help us. So I'll do a clearing. Yeah, we're all giving you prayers. Jamie, I can't see your question. Did you ask a question? I don't see it. I don't know what's going on. But sometimes I noticed on TikTok, things get filtered. I'm not sure what happens. I see that you're liking it, but I don't see a question. Did you see a question, Nicole? I didn't see a question. I might have missed it. I'm not sure. But you can ask it again. Yes. Oh, you asked it 3 times? I don't see it. But I see this comment, but I don't see the other comment. Isn't that weird? I don't know why that happens. But I noticed that on somebody else's live the other day. When they were saying like some things get filtered or comment or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happens. Anyways, we'll look into that and see if I can find some music for us. Oh. All right. So while we're looking into that, you didn't see a filter apply? No, I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm not sure. Hi, Kellyanne. How are you? I don't know. Some weird things have been happening with my email too, where people say they send me emails, but I don't get them. So I don't know what's going on. Sorry. It's me and technology is not always on the best terms. And it's like a spiritual thing because I work with a lot of spirits, and sometimes weird stuff happens. That's why it's Hopi. What about Hopi? Well, welcome, Kellyanne. Today we're talking about meditation. And so we've been doing meditation Monday. And the first week we talked about 1-minute meditation, and you do it Monday or morning, noon, and night. And that's the beginning of the meditation practice of silencing the mind. Then we talked about cleaning. We talked about cleansing the aura so that we can have spiritual protection. And that's on my YouTube video. So all my videos are also on YouTube, so you can watch them afterwards. So if you want to do the meditation for the cleansing aura, you can clean your aura, that's on my YouTube channel. Then we talked about last week about safety and spiritual protection. And we had an affirmation of, I am safe in the here and now. And what was interesting about that week where I did that affirmation, what I noticed is like how meditation and safety are interconnected, because when you can feel safe within your body, within your mind, within everything, you can drop into your meditations much easier. And so I encourage you, if you're just joining now or if you haven't done it, to try tonight to say the affirmation of, I am safe in the here and now. Okay, I'm safe in the here and now. And you want to say that like 8 to 10 times before bedtime. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to avoid this being filtered, huh? Oh yeah. Okay. Me Hopi? No, I'm not Hopi. I have some Taos Pueblo Indian and Dene and Korean, also Toltec. But we're talking about meditation today. So we want to go through those steps. 1 minute, morning, noon, and night. And then we want to go through the cleansing meditation. And then we'll talk about safety. Now today we're going to talk about clearing the mind. Okay, the problem with meditation and why most meditations don't go anywhere is because your mind is going all these places, you see. Instead of focusing on what's going on, you're focusing, oh, is she Hopi? Oh, is this happening? Oh, see how the mind jumps around like that? We have to focus now on clearing that, because a lot of people come to me and they say, I want to develop my spiritual gifts. I want to, do this. I want to do that. But if you're not focused and you're not clear, your meditations will go nowhere. And that's why I always say you got to first focus on just nothing, clearing the mind, go to nothingness, train that monkey mind. That's going to be very, very pivotal this year. This year is about clearing the monkey mind, because when we clear that monkey mind, we can hear our intuition, we can see things, we can feel things, we can be right on point. We don't have any doubt or confusion. And that's the part that always messes everybody up, is like, I don't know the direction my arrow's going. I don't know what I'm this. I don't know. And it's because your monkey mind is not allowing you to focus. It's about focus this year. And that's why a lot of people, if they're going to get caught up in the chaos, you're just going to be blowing in the wind. So this year, make it a point to focus your mind. When your mind starts going left, bring it back to center, okay? Bring it back, because all that mind ability that you could be focusing on your family, on your community, on your business, on your work, on improving yourself, it needs to go in a direction. Because if it doesn't go in a straight direction, then it'll just blow all over and then you end up confused. Okay. And that's the whole purpose of meditation, is let's not blow all over the place. Let's get clear. And then it'll be a very fruitful and prosperous and beautiful year. And that's why I put on the back here is, I am ready to make this year the best year of my life. Right here. See, I'm ready to make this the best year of my life. And that's for everybody watching today, is let's step into that. Let's step into the best year of your life by clearing, aligning, and focusing. Because everything in the world is going to distract you. And the year goes by very fast, as we can see. And so Let's see. Clearing my mind is my favorite part. I like that. I don't want to think about anything. Yeah. And you know what will happen when your mind is totally clear? You can go longer into meditation because now you're relaxed, you're clear, you're focused. And like even people will I'll say, okay, now when you're ready, open your eyes. And they'll be like, I can't open my eyes. They're enjoying the meditation, the clarity, the cleanness of it, because it's just like, okay. And so we're going to practice that today. Yeah, well, you know what actually happens is that when you clear your mind, then things automatically drop in from the clarity. So say, you have a question and then you just drop the question and you clear your mind, the answer naturally drops in. And so a lot of times, even pastors and priests that I know, they'll go into like a meditation state or prayer state, as they call it, and then they'll clear their mind. And then suddenly a person will pop into their head and they'll say, oh, I'm thinking of this person, they need my prayer. And then they send the prayers to that person. And then later they'll connect to that person and they'll say, oh, yeah, I was going through this. I was going through surgery. I was going through a really hard time. And then that's why they dropped in. So depending on like you're calling the purpose or intention of why you're meditating, your answers naturally drop in. They just drop in. But that's why you have to get clear in your mind so that the messages can drop in. Otherwise, you're just constantly in a loop of thinking. Even you could just be sitting there trying to meditate and, all these questions and things will pop in. And we have to break past that point in order to get to the clearing part. And that's why I recommend the 1 minute morning, noon, and night. And then after that, it's the, clearing and cleansing, and affirmations can be part of that. So it's like a whole thing around how to build a solid meditation practice. Letting your cork float. Yes, letting it just go. Letting it all go. And the more chaotic or more stressed we are, sometimes the harder it is. And then you want to get like tools like this, like a singing bowl will help, You see? It's kind of hard to think a lot when there's a singing bowl going on. Just see what your mind is thinking now. That's why we use a singing bowl. It helps quiet the mind. It helps it focus. A bell could work. Light music can work. And this is a grounding ball. So just do it until you don't have to do it anymore. Like if your mind is going, you see, it'll knock it back into place. Knock your mind back in place. It's actually a grounding bowl. It's grounding you right now. You could do this for a minute. There's your 1 minute. When you're, too much, the monkey mind. It takes a lot to start calming that monkey mind. And then, like I said in the beginning, it's like when you have a lot of thoughts, the hardest thing is you have to sit there and let the mind go. See it like a passing cloud, those thoughts. Oh, what am I going to eat after this? Oh, what do I have to do this? Oh, just let all those thoughts just pass by. Just literally see them passing by. And as they're passing by, come back to the present moment. Okay. That's the homework this week, is that as your mind is come back to the present moment, come back to the present moment, come back to the present moment. If you don't have a singing bowl, get a bell. They have all these apps nowadays where you can ring, 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 something, YouTube, whatever. There's a lot of things, but it's all about now let's focus on the present moment, focus on the present moment, focus. And notice when your mind starts going in all these different directions, because most of that stuff is unnecessary. Most of it is just unnecessary. You want to widen the gap between thoughts. That's the whole practice of meditation, is widen those thoughts so that there's more space in between. You know what I mean? Widen it, like stretch and elongate those thoughts. From the fairy realms, yeah, coming back, grounding you back. Yeah, you see and feel energy ripples. Good. Yeah, the bell is really good. The bell will bring you back to your body, because especially spiritual people, the problem with a lot of spiritual people is they're traveling. I don't know where they are. They're somewhere far away, and it's like, come back to the material, come back to the body, come back to the physical, come back to this present moment. Because everything this year is about clarity, it's about clearing, it's about direction, it's about where are you going? Where are you going? And this every day this year is important. It's an important year. It's an important year for directions and clarity and where you're going. See, the sound helped you clear your mind. See how important that is? Hmm? I don't know. Where are you going? Now you can make it a song. Where am I going? Where are you going? Come back, come back, come back, come back. Hello, mystical. Yeah, come back. Come back. Because while you're off in la la land, you know, you're needed here. You're needed here. Come back from la la land. Come back, come back, come back. Mm. So the singing bowl can help you, bells can help you, drumming can help you. Everything can help you if you let it. Okay. And that's why when you're doing in shamanism, that's why we use tools like the bells, we use the drum, we use those things to help us focus and get clear. Because if you're not clear, nothing's coming in. Only a bunch of okay. That's what's coming in. All that useless, mindless stuff that just goes from the mind will go from here to here to here to here to here to here, and then it'll just keep going around and around and around. And your intuition will drop in, but it will be like the quietest voice. So that's why until you can clear all that other stuff, your intuition isn't strong. And then there's a lot of doubt, confusion, chaos, because all that gobble gobble that we think about all day long is distracting us from the real voice that we need to be paying attention to, which is our intuition. Okay. And then, for other people who work with spirits and stuff, if you don't have that foundation, you're not going to know what's your voice and what's a spirit's voice, and then you're not going to know what's going on. You're just going to be all in chaos. And that's why you see a lot of people who do spiritual work who are all scattered, is because they haven't mastered this one foundation of clearing your mind. As the foundation of all foundations is get out of the monkey mind. Okay. Otherwise, if you start trying to do spiritual stuff without knowing that foundation, you're always going to be in confusion. You're going to be in confusion. And that's why we also talk about shadow work. We're going to talk about shadow work more in depth. But shadow work is really important, because when you're listening to that trauma voice, it will cause more patterns of suffering. But the intuitive voice, the one you want to listen to, is most often the quietest voice. It's the voice that's not screaming at you. It's not the distracted voice. It's the clear and focused voice that knows the direction. And usually it's telling you to go in a different direction than all that monkey noise will tell you. Okay. So that's like the foundation of foundations. And that's why I recommend the 1 minute of silence, morning, noon, and night, because now you're cultivating at least more clarity, more nothingness. So the point is that when you go into a meditation, you don't want to be thinking. You want to be able to just drop in and nothing. That's the foundation. Because then from the nothingness, everything can bloom, everything can emerge, everything can manifest in the nothing, no thing, because nothing will produce that intuition. The intuition will be born through that. And that's why the purpose of the lotus flower is, you know how you always see the lotus connected to spirituality? It's connected to enlightenment, because it's the flower that is born through the mud, which is your monkey mind. Okay, your monkey mind is the mud. It's unclear, it's dirty, it's dingy, it's, try looking through muddy water, you can't see anything. But then when you can clear through the muddles, the mud of your mind, a beautiful seed emerges and then becomes a beautiful flower. And then that lotus flower blossoms and blooms. And then, that's the symbol of your crown chakra. Because the crown chakra is where intuition comes through, where you understand and you expand into all the frequencies and energies and vibrations that are in and around you. And then that is what we call your intuition. And it's the spiritual part of you. But the lower parts of you, the root chakra, the underneath, all that is mud. And we have to overcome the mud of survival, the mud of doing, the mud of reaction, the mud of ignorance, in order to bloom into these beautiful flowers that we are. Yeah, the lotus flower, you'll see it everywhere now, because it's in your consciousness now. You're like, oh, that's what it is. And every time you see the lotus flower, you're like, I have to overcome the mud in my mind. I have to overcome all that unnecessary survival stuff. Because most of what people obsess over and think about all the time is survival. That's the hardest part of it, is that survival mind. And when we break through this survival mind, that's where all the unlimited possibilities and potentials and powers that we are born of can come through. That's all it is. It's just all that information that we really want to know, and that will bring us peace and happiness and joy and satisfaction and harmony and balance, is balancing the higher and the lower mind. Because the lower mind is going to be thinking of competition, jealousy, how to survive, how to make money. Yes, the reptile mind, the survivor mind. And it's thinking about all the ways it can survive, right? Which we need. We need to survive, obviously. But a lot of that stuff also creates all this unnecessary noise and static and chaos in our lives. Then we can't hear our clearest and purest voice, which is our intuition, which is that higher mind, which is the spiritual mind, which is what we're constantly breaking in meditation. It's that monkey, chaotic mind. And some people have it more than others. And it also is a cultural thing. It depends on the culture you're born in, the survival, how, you grew up with survival. Was it, less or more? Everybody has different things. Even your gender can play a role in it. Everything is different. And in Buddhism, they say that's your karma that you're born into. And your mind is part of your karma because the mind produces suffering. That's where the suffering comes from, is in our mind. Because you can see people who have nothing and are completely happy, and then you see people have nothing and they're like miserable, right? The same conditions, but it's the mind, right? And so it depends on like how much trauma you've endured in your life, how much healing you've done, how much shadow work there is. All that stuff is a contributing factor into how much you would have to work for that peaceful mind to come through. Hello, Gillespie. Hi, Cami. What do you suggest when doing shadow work? What do you mean by suggest for shadow work? The shadow work, I always say shadow work shouldn't be done alone, if possible, depending on exactly what you're going through and what type of shadow work you're doing, because there's layers of shadow work. But shadow work, most definitely, you should have a support around it, whether a teacher, a guide, a mentor, a therapist, a counselor. I don't recommend doing shadow work alone, because when you do shadow work alone, it makes it much harder and you can't see the progress. It's harder to see the progress when you don't have somebody helping you through the ways. And in the ancient times, in the ancient codexes, they always say when you're going through your awakening, you have to have a guide or a mentor who has been through the shadow work to help you, because it's like an endless pit too. Shadow work is like people can get really stuck in that stuff because they're self-guiding themselves and they don't know they don't see the progress, and they don't know when and where to stop and where the boundaries of it are, because it's a spiritual thing too. But I always say, like with shadow work, start slow. If you don't have a mentor or guide, at least have like a workbook or something. There's different books out there that can maybe help you along the way and do the work around triggers, reactions, that kind of stuff. Because it's otherwise, I know clients that have been coming to me and they say, I've been doing this for 15 years and I'm getting nowhere. That means that's you're not doing something right, because shadow work can be, ongoing, but you should see immense progress through the shadow work. You should see more calmness, more peace, more an ability to handle stresses that you couldn't handle before. You should have more forgiveness, because actually the result of shadow work is forgiveness. That's just the natural result of it. And it happens in your own time. It's not immediate and everybody's different, but that's the gift of shadow work, is that you will find resolution and forgiveness with the things that have caused you suffering in your life. Yesterday you bought a goddess statue that has a lotus. Isn't that something? Yeah, you could have a journal. A journal I always recommend for anything. Yeah, everybody has some kind of shadow work to do. And, the healing of the shadow is about integration. I know a lot of times in this kind of new age environment, a lot of people say, oh, well, it's love and light, only positive vibes, only, and that's impossible in this world. But the whole purpose of doing shadow work is to integrate, to become whole, to accept, to process, to not allow those things that have harmed you in the past to continue to harm you in the now and in the future. So depending on the shadow work, like say you have really hard times with relationships because you've been hurt in the past. It's about healing those triggers from childhood that created that, that unsafety, that survival thing. And then once you start to trust again and, have more courage and strength around it, then you start to see yourself emerge like that lotus and you trust your intuition. You'll never get into those types of relationships again because you have learned and you have grown and you have integrated and you accept it, knowing that you won't allow it to happen again. And if you start to go down that road, you'll recognize it. You'll recognize the red flags. You'll recognize what your strengths and weaknesses are in relationship. You'll have boundaries. There's different things that everybody has to work on strengthening in order to really fully walk into their power. And that's the thing, is that shadow work is necessary for that. Yeah, it is a balance. It means you're on track. Yeah, that's a good sign. That's what we call synchronicity, right? You're talking about, you got a lotus, and then all of a sudden I'm talking about lotuses. It's putting it together, right? Yeah. Yeah, it is about balance. It means it's like integration, because we can't get stuck in the shadow either. And that's another problem, is people are always running towards pain or pleasure, mostly pleasure, but a lot of times people love pain too. They like the cynicism of the world, the pessimism of the world. That stuff is very sensational. If you go on, YouTube or TikTok right now, there's like, those are the most popular videos, are people saying, beware, the whole world is collapsing, we're in apocalypse, or, those kind of things are very popular because of the sensationalism around it, and people love gloom and doom, and other people love love and light. But in reality, it's a mix of both things. And that's why in the shamanic teachings, they say you take everything you love in one hand and you take everything you hate in one hand and you put them together. And that's the light and the dark. So that when you understand everything you love and everything you hate, and you can accept and embrace both, you can walk in this world no matter which way the wind blows, because you understand yourself and you understand the cosmic forces, and you understand that no matter how bad something gets, there's a light that comes. It's not always going to be bad, and it's not always going to be good. It's a mix of both. That's the world we walk in. That's the reality of this world, is that we came here to learn both the lessons and the blessings. And that's why Earth School is a hard school to master, because we learn both. We don't just learn one. That would be more of like, a utopian if it was all just good. But we have both. We have both. And that's where meditation becomes really important, is because it helps us balance both. And through the muddles of the mind, we can find direction, clarity, and peace, no matter the winds of change, which becomes really important, like we're talking about in these next 2 years, because in these next 2 years, there's going to be a lot of change. And humans, for some reason, we don't like change. That's that survival thing. We like things to be the same, stable. Some people love change, right? But most humans really don't. Okay. What evokes fear? I think I missed something. Yes, misery loves company. What do Native Americans believe about the end of life? Well, the end of life is you go into the spirit world. There's another life. And so in my traditions, it's like this. Where you go depends on what kind of life you lived. And there are many roads. It's not just heaven or hell. there's a whole process to the afterlife. The transition of spirit, or what we call it graduation day when you get out of here, is a process. Just like you had a process to be born into this world, you have a process of death in this world too. So when you leave this world, you go and you look at your life. And that's why a lot of people, when they have a near-death experience, they say they see their whole life flash before their eyes. That's a real thing. You go and you look at your life, the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. Did you fulfill your mission? What did you do? And then you will meet that afterlife. You know, and some people will go into, like, they call, like, in Egyptian, they called it the halls of Amente. You can read about it in the Emerald Tablets. There's a transition, like a hallway, and there are many doors. You know, you see this a lot in movies. They're trying to explain that concept. This is an ancient concept, that you go into all these different roads. And that's the native way too, is like, there are many roads you can go depending on what you did in this life and what your afterlife will be. So some roads will end up back here on planet Earth. You'll come back at some point. You might be reborn in a different gender or form, or bug or insects or cat or dog, we don't know, but you'll be reborn. And then some people who are ready will get out of here. They'll go to another planet, another space, another dimension. They won't come back to Earth. I think that is really a goal for a lot of people, is you want to graduate. But it's not for everybody. And people who are really attached to the material world, like say they're very wealthy and rich and powerful, well, they're going to want to come back into that same situation. And so in this life, a lot of people who are really rich and successful, they'll go towards those more occult roads and pray to come back. They'll do like rituals and things to try to come back into their same lineages. So there's a lot of things. I was a child when I saw nothing. It was black. Yeah. You want to actually, with the near-death and experiences, most of the things you hear are quite different than what our teachings are. Like people say they went towards the light and stuff. A lot of times it's not the light, it's the dark. Go into like a dark space, into the darkness, and then you go into the afterlife. And that's a whole other conversation. But if you had a near-death experience and it wasn't that typical near-death experience, is because, like I'm talking about, there's all those roads that you can take. Yeah. You graduated, and I just do this for fun. Okay. You don't want to come back to Earth. I know a lot of people say that, and I think it's because you've been here for so many aeons. I talked about that in one of my other lives, where you're like an old soul. And remember how I defined an old soul is not how many lives you've lived. Because in our teachings, it says we have all lived many, 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 many lives. Okay, it's not that some people have less lives than others. We've all had many, 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 many lives. It's that the soul development of those lives is different. So say, for instance, you were like a master pianist in many of those lives, and then you come back to Earth and you pick it up again, and you pick it up, and you know how those kids are just, and they just can play these incredible masterpieces at a very young age. That's the soul development that I'm talking about. And so old souls who know and remember those lives, they have remnants of them in this lifetime, can tend to feel very old at a very young age. And that's what we're talking about with old souls. And there is something that you're picking up from previous lives that are now influencing this life. And there's a lot of teachings about that too. But in the native teachings, the teachings say that it is the greatest gift to be born here on this planet. It's like winning the lottery to be in a human body on planet Earth. This is the heaven, right? Because it's not easy to come here on Earth. We had to prepare who knows how long to come here. And it's one of the most beautiful places there is to live. The Earth is a very beautiful, magical, majestic place. And we're here to make it better. You know, that's the whole ancient teaching, is we're here to make it better. But because of the time we're living in, which is the time of degeneration, as we talked about before, it's a more harder time to be positive because of all the negative energy. You know, this is a time where everything is going down, not up. Okay? And so those of you who are sensitive, who are empaths, who want to see a better world, you have to work harder to see those things manifest because of the energies and the frequencies and the planet as it is right now is not making it easier for positive people. We're not in the golden age of times where, like we talked about, the tin times or the plastic times. You know, it's harder to be positive, and that's why you need meditation. That's why you need to focus on clearing your mind, finding direction, detaching from the chaos and destruction around you, and becoming stronger mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually to withstand the winds. Yeah, the plants, you know, and that's the thing, is when you're connected to plants and animals, that's the gift. That's why we have them. That's why sometimes our greatest soulmates are actually our pets, right? Because we get the most love from them. Oh, thank you, Soaring Eagle. You feel bored here. Yeah, and you don't feel like you belong. That's a very common feeling for people who are empaths and sensitive, is the feeling of where do I belong? Where is my home? And that's why it's really important to work on the safety issue around being here and understanding what is your mission and purpose of being here. And a lot of times it's just your being here, your breath, your vibration is needed on the planet at this time. And then Creator will give you a specific job, role, purpose that only you can fulfill. And that's why a lot of people are just holding that vibration of love. And wherever they go, that's what's being emitted. And that's the whole purpose. It's not to do something like grand, but that in and of itself is changing the world. Josiah's witness. I'm not sure what that is. Do empathy get exhausted? I feel exhausted from helping so much and being hurt so much. Yeah, that's common. That's actually because you have to have stronger boundaries. So the problem with empaths, especially if you have that unresolved trauma and you haven't really dived into it yet, and is that empaths tend to help the wrong people. And that's that whole dynamic of the empath narcissist thing, where empaths and narcissists are drawn together like a moth to the flame, and it's really toxic, especially for the empath, because the empath is constantly getting their energy sucked from the narcissists in their life. And it's most likely born of your family or somebody close to you in early childhood was the narcissist, and it set you up for this dynamic. And as you get older, what it comes down to is learning how to have healthy, independent relationships with people who value your time and energy. And I think most empaths have to go through that process of learning and owning their boundaries and cutting codependent relationships. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. And that's why you're feeling tired all the time, because you're constantly giving. And so one of the things I always encourage empaths to learn is who and what is worthy of your time and energy. And if they're not, you have to strengthen the boundaries and say no. I'm not giving my time and energy to people and things that drain my energy. And that's what the meditation will help with, because you'll start to see clearer. And then you'll get messages and guidance, and you'll be like, I don't really like that person. Why am I just constantly giving? And then you'll stop. You'll stop. You'll see it clearer, because I think a lot of times when you're a kind, caring person, one of the things that happens is that you want to help other people, but if they don't appreciate your help, if they don't want your help, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. That is totally my best friend. Her boyfriend is the narcissist and she's being empath. Yeah. And probably anything you say to her, she won't listen, right? Because we have to learn those lessons for ourselves until we just get so tired of the pattern of suffering. And until we heal that pattern of suffering, it will continue to manifest itself in the next relationship, in the next relationship, in the next relationship. And that's why I always recommend that book, Codependent No More, because that book will help people to understand those patterns of suffering and then heal it. And that's the shadow work, right? It's the shadow work of, why do I have these codependent relationships? What is it about me that attracts those things? And let me heal that so that I don't attract them anymore. Yeah, she finally gotten to the point where she wants to leave, but they have a child, so it's hard for her. Yeah. Yeah. And that will be her journey. But then the thing is that when you recognize these patterns and you see it, and yeah, it's hard, and you overcome the hardness of it, say, you come to like the courage and you say, you know what? I'm deserving of a better relationship than this. Yes, I have a child. Yes, I have bills. Yes, I have this, and that. But let me work on solving those survival issues, and let me have the courage and strength to leave. And sometimes those are the defining moments of a person's life, when you leave and you put yourself first, not last. And then everything changes. You'll have huge changes, because the universe will match that energy. We live in a vibrational universe. So once we change our vibration, everything changes. And that's what the teaching of the drum really is that when we go into those places and spaces of just pure vibration, everything in our world changes. And that's what this year really is about changing your vibration to match the direction of your arrow, so that everything can manifest from that place. Yeah. Even yeah. Well, the thing about it is we're stubborn. The brain is not only a monkey mind, it's a stubborn brain. There's a word I forgot, but it's in Japanese. It says that, we have a rock for a head. It's a rock head. And I was like, oh, like a hard head, because most people are stubborn. And we have to overcome the stubbornness, which is our ignorance, which is our pride, in order for us to be humble. Be humble. It's humbleness. It's humbleness, because we want to be right. I don't want to admit our wrongs. We don't want to admit we make mistakes. We want to be perfect, and that comes from control. And see, all of this I'm talking about is the shadow work. And it's not an overnight process. It can take time. It can take many lifetimes sometimes. But if we're at least open to the ideas, and we're looking and we understand our flaws, and we can humble ourselves, that's when the great mystery can reveal itself. That's what we call the hollow bones. That's what it takes to hear spirit, is hollow bones. That's why we go into ceremony. That's why we have sweat lodges. That's why we have cleansing rituals, purification. That's why we have mentors, teachers, guides, because the mind is a very big and vast place. And unless we can be willing and courageous enough to look at our flaws and those shadows, as we call it, we will never overcome those mountains. We'll keep bumping our head up against the same old wall because we didn't recognize that we don't have to keep hitting ourselves up against this wall. You know, like Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We can't keep hitting our head over and over and over and over again and expect something to change. It just doesn't work that way. We have to be willing to look at what am I doing wrong and not get angry when somebody points it out. As a teacher will point it out. I'll tell my students all the time, this is why you're not growing. And they get mad. But then the smart students, the one who will make it through the training and programs that I offer, are the ones who change it, who work on themselves, who say, you know what, I'm so tired of this. And you're right, I need to work on this. And they'll do the work. And then we see huge growth and transformation, is because they're not stuck in that old pattern of suffering. They're done with it. They want to move past it. And they're willing to do the discipline and practice necessary to overcome it. And then big life-changing things happen. Big life-changing things happen when we overcome that. And that's what we call the generational healing, the ancestral healing, because most of these patterns of suffering we were born into. They're things our parents suffered with, they're things our grandparents suffered with, and 7 generations down. And if we continue them, they'll continue to be the patterns of suffering 7 generations forward. And that's why we say when we heal something in our lineage, we're healing it 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And that's why the meditation is important, the cleansing rituals are important, purification, clearing the mind, healing those shadows. Those are all important because they can produce better seeds for the future. Then the children and the descendants don't have to suffer those things. And if you look in your family, you know, it's kind of, you could do this week, look at your family and say, what were the patterns of suffering that I inherited from my family? Was it the poverty and lack and scarcity mindset? Was it the trauma and victim and codependency? Was it the controlling and perfectionism? Was it the artificial and the, you know, can never be myself? I always have to people please and I don't have boundaries. What was it? You know, what did your mother suffer with? What did your father suffer with? And see how they go down the line. And that will help you to understand what it is you're suffering with too. Okay, good night. Thanks for joining us, Mystic. The ACA is a spiritual program that helps with this stuff. It's a branch from AA. Yeah, all of the above. Yeah, there's a lot of different, you know, places and spaces that offer help, especially, you know, when you think about addiction, that's another pattern of suffering. Some people are addicted to bad relationships. They're addicted to pain and suffering. They're addicted to toxicity. And then when they take all the toxicity out of their life, they're bored. They don't like it. They feel uncomfortable. They're like, oh, no, it's not good. And a boring life when you don't have any toxicity. The lack, both sides were poor. My mom's side, she was a single mom, and sadly, so am I. See? And then once you start working on that and, you know, looking at it and healing it, because it's probably something to do with, you know, doing it on your own. There's something there, vulnerability. Because that's what we kind of see in our, you know, we model those things. And the beautiful thing is that you recognize it and you can change it. Change it. But you can say, maybe I'm ready for more support in my life. Sometimes it's just simple like that, just accepting and receiving help and support. One of the things I sit with a lot of women, and especially in this modern age, is women are doing a lot on their own with no support. Even when they have husbands and spouses and things, sometimes the hardest thing is just accepting help. We think we have to do it all, like to be the Wonder Women, and we need the help. Yeah, that's good. Manifesting wealth and overcoming the constraints of the past. Mm, I'm gonna be doing something soon with that. Yeah, hard time. We all do. Accepting help is so hard because maybe we've been burned in the past. You know, we learned that we can do it better on our own, so why ask for help? And the funny thing is that in actuality, people want to help other people. Just as much as you need help is just as much as somebody else is wanting to help you. They just don't know how. And thing about it is that in ceremony, we always say people will ask for help when they need it, because the ceremony will force you to ask for help when you need it. The spirits will be like, you need some help right now. And you'll say, help. And people will come and help you. But until then, you can't help anybody because you don't know what that person is going through. And you thinking you're helping can be harming. And so that's something we learn in ceremony, is that if somebody needs help, they'll say help and you can help them. But when people don't need help and you try to help, it can harm them. And that's the thing about it. Because people always say, well, why don't you help that person? It's like, well, they didn't ask me for my help. And if I try to give them help, they're just going to deny it. And there's no healing there. And that's one of our medicine trainings is, you can't help people who don't want your help. But when you want help, don't be afraid to ask for help. Because you're giving somebody the opportunity to help you and they really want to help you. Yeah, this is going to be on YouTube. I'm not going to be on too much longer. You need help? Well, we're here to help you, Nicole. Hmm. And that's the teaching of the helper spirits. You have to ask them to help you. They won't just butt in. And that's the thing about the right spirits and the right people, is they'll help you when you ask for help, right? Otherwise, they won't help you. Trickster spirits are all over the place and they're thinking they're helping you, they ain't helping you. But helper spirits aren't that way. And so are helper people. That's how helper people are too. Lots of love, Rachel. Good night. All right, so we're gonna do another candle blessing. And so this week for Meditation Monday is continue the 1 minute morning, noon, and night. Do the cleansing meditation. If you weren't here, you can go on my YouTube and look under the live section for the cleansing meditation. I also have a guided meditation. And then the mantra, I am safe in the here and now. And then now we're going to intensify those energies. We're going to light a candle. And a lot of people have been saying they need help. We're going to ask those helper spirits to come in. I'm going to move my candle so we can see it. And I want you to just focus on what it is right now that you need help with. What would you like the spirit world to help you with? Okay. Turn on my music here. Oh, you're welcome. You know, you do these things until you don't need them anymore, and then you move on to the next thing. But these are just the foundational stuff. Okay, let me see if I can turn up my music here. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and turn up. Okay. So I want you to focus now on what it is you would like help with. And I hope you can see the candle here. Okay. We're going to ask the helper spirits for every single person here in this live to help us to receive the help. So think about, what is it that you need help with right now? Is it money? Is it finances? Is it relationship? Is it strength, courage? What is it that we need help with? Okay. I'm going to put some healing energy. And we're going to ask the great spirits that help each person. Some people it's angels, some people it's ancestors, guardian spirits, protector spirits. Just focusing on the light now. Okay. Spring into savings with 40% off the spring shop. Turn that off. All right. So I hope you all can feel the love of your helper spirits, and to know that anytime you need help, you can ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And to this week now, work on clearing the mind, clearing all those monkey thoughts and catching them. Oh, good. Catching those monkey thoughts. Okay. Clear those monkey thoughts. Okay. All right, everything. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful night, and I'll be back on Wednesday. 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. And until we meet again, many blessings.